Hello and welcome to Grow Up, Level Up, the podcast where we like to talk about the games that helped us grow up and how games influence our lives today. In today's episode, we are going to be talking to a fellow content creator, but also somebody who creates content not just in games, in books, in literature, all that kind of fun stuff. If you didn't know, my name is Samson, aka Samson XP, and I will be your host in this interview today. Joined to me, of course, is the ever doctorific Sir Dr. J.M. Jordan. Welcome back, Jordan. How are you?
That's me. I'm doing well. I'm PhD loving and everything.
You know what? I was saying that I need to expand my vocabulary because I ran out of adjectives pretty quick here introing you. And that's why we are bringing in special guest Kayla, aka Palettes and Pages. Welcome to the show, Kayla.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to see you guys like actually on the screen with together. Like I see you all the time in different
In
various
chat.
chats, other people's Twitch streams, but putting the faces to the names in a real WebEx like environment is very, very fun.
It is. We're talking back. We're live, kind of. We are in person, kind of. But Kayla, for folks who don't know who you are, what kind of chats you're talking about, what you do, give us your introduction.
Wow. What do I do? That's a great question. So like you mentioned, I do a little bit of everything everywhere. My primary things that I'm on like on a weekly basis, I am one third now actually of the JK Games podcast, which is kind of where I started my content creating journey. Me and Jerica and Josh do a like video game book club at JK Games podcast every Monday. Right now we're covering The Wolf Among Us. And we have a new announcement for our next game coming very soon. I don't know when this will come out, so I don't want to spoil anything. So that's fun. And then recently, a year ago, this month, we joined with the Drop In, Drop Out podcast, and we created a network of gamers, which is how we met you guys, which is super cool, through various contacts. It's been very rewarding to get to partner with so many really cool gamers everywhere across the globe. It's really, really fun. So we have a podcast we do weekly there where some of us join, we drop in, we drop out every week, and lots of fun content over there. We just did our in-person event, which we were kind of chatting about before we hit start, which was very exhausting, but super fun.
12-hour stream, that's wild.
I know, yeah. We did a whole 12-hour stream. I was not on camera the whole 12 hours. There was no way that was going to happen, but a good bit of it I was. But then my other stuff that I do that I really have started to kind of cultivate and spend a lot of my time and energy is into my bookish content. So I have a YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, really everywhere, where I do like bookish, I do book reviews. As you can see, if you're watching the video version, I have a lot of books behind me. And I've always been a reader, but only recently have I kind of like combined my hobbies into like a format that's like really comparing books to video games and making recommendations based off both. And that's at Palettes and Pages. You can find other gaming stuff all over the internet. dropindropoutpod.com is where you can find most of the like gaming podcast stuff, but Palettes and Pages is where all the book stuff is.
Heck yes. And if you're listening or watching or meeting Kayla for the first time, you might be like, what the heck? This person does everything. We're going to dive into how Kayla balances all that, the experience of it all, of course. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll do a little fun game at the end as well, exploring some of these ideas. Kayla, yeah, thank you for coming onto the show. Of course, we met you through kind of the Drop In, Drop Out community. Well, kind of met Jerica through Kind of Funny. And then from that, got a whole new plethora of friends from JK Games, from Drop In, Drop Out. And look at us now. We're just making cool stuff on the internet. Now, first question I have to ask all our guests, and you're kind of a special case because I'm going to ask you two questions. But first question, what is your favorite video game of all time?
Gosh, I really prepared myself for this, I thought, but you asked me and my brain just immediately like wipes completely. I will answer this really quickly by saying my kind of like, I have three main types of games that I really enjoy. Just to kind of quick get to know me. I love a narrative choice-based game. So think like Life is Strange. I love a first-person shooter type game, which is like think Titanfall, think Black Ops. And then I love a like strategy, like city building, farming type game. Think like Civilization, 2 Point games, Stardew Valley, of course. But I think if I had to pick Oh, and then I also love the occasional like turn-based. Newly, I now like turn-based action like RPGs. And so
Okay.
Sea of Stars, Expedition 33, that's kind of like my wheelhouse as a whole, which is why like if my favorite game of all time, I think I'm gonna have to go with Titanfall 2 as my
Oh,
favorite game of all
oh,
time.
okay.
Which I
Yeah.
know is like, if you've listened to me on other content, I love that game resonates with me so much. Like from like it kind of like kickstarted my love of like first person shooter experience,
Mhm.
but very closely tied to The Last of Us Part 2 is
Oh,
my like favorite game of all time. I love The Last of Us, love The Last of Us Part 2. So that was a long answer, but there you go.
There you go. A couple twos in there. Okay, interesting. So very like really good story games. It sounds like
Yes.
both of those have very strong narratives.
Yeah.
Um, which is like my history with Titanfall 2. I actually played the multiplayer only when it came out, and
Yeah.
it wasn't until like a couple of years ago that I actually played the story after everyone's like, "Yo, this is good," and I'm like, "Okay,
It's
fine." And yeah, it
good.
was pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It is. Not overrated, I promise.
So my second question, because you are between the three of us, our literary expert, what is your favorite book of all time?
Boy, that's a tough one too. I have a stack actually to my left of like some books that I'm
oh,
probably going to mention throughout tonight, but I think this may be like recency biased, which our my friend Cognitive Clips Jordan did a video essay recently on recency bias. But oh, I just dropped it. But this I think is my favorite book of all time, and it is Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin.
okay.
I am also one to tab and annotate my books. So if you can see on the video version, and yes, I do, I'm insane and I match them to the cover like you know, how
That's
I am.
amazing.
Um,
That's
but
cool.
yeah, so that's my favorite book of all time, and it will probably come up later too because it actually has a lot of video game themes in the book. They actually in this book, it's about a group of friends who make a video game essentially. They have their own like they started their own development company. It's really, really good.
Okay, very
Mhm.
like game related, I guess.
Yeah.
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 This is all so fitting with the theme. I'm actually shocked.
Awesome. Now, that's a great introduction to you, the kind of tastes you're in, and all that. For the audience, I just want to do a little bit of a visual in case folks haven't seen what kind of content you do exactly. Of course, you said you
Yeah.
do podcasts, you do all that kind of gaming stuff, but I want to show, just sharing on the screen,
Aw.
your Instagram page.
Aw.
Like we mentioned, at Palettes and Pages. Kayla's got a very cool. If you're listening on audio, throw on the video on YouTube or on Spotify, that kind of thing. But Kayla's got an aesthetic going on
Absolutely.
Instagram,
I
and
try.
not just like pretty photos and stuff, but there's some like pretty cool, useful stuff here. Like stuff like a January wrap up of all the cool things that you've experienced this
Yeah.
month. We've got books and games releasing in February. I want to try to find one. Oh, book recommendations based on your
Yeah.
favorite game.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk about this? Do you want to share like what this series of content is for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this kind of started like this got spawned from I have a hard time balancing my hobbies, and I know we're probably talking about that, but like every time I pick up a game, I immediately in my brain, and I just for a little bit of context, I don't say this as like a flex, I say this as like this is what's going on in my brain at all times. I read about 115 books a year. So like
Damn.
that's and I do a lot of audiobooks as well. So that's not me like holding physical book and doing that like all the time every day. Like I sometimes if I'm playing a game that's more idle, I'll actually have an audiobook playing at the same time as me playing the game.
That's wild.
So while I'm playing the game, I'm immediately thinking about what kind of media I'm comparing it to in my mind. And I think about people who maybe are trying to find a new book that they want to get into. Like I got back into reading during COVID when I was a really like low spot mentally and I wanted to re-engage my mind with the hobbies that made me feel like a kid and I loved to read as a kid. So that is something that I just think about. Like if I am talking to somebody and their favorite game is Titanfall, like what kind of book might they like? And that's kind of where the series spawned from. So yeah, that one that you're showing now is actually the first one I ever did. And that was
Okay.
I think oh, was it like 2 years ago? I don't know,
39
maybe
Oh,
that's
39
ago.
weeks ago, about a year ago. Yeah.
about a year ago, yeah. So that it started like around that time frame. So I haven't been doing it for super long, but it's a series I like to
Mhm.
do, and I literally just like collect them in a notes app in my phone, and when I get enough, I just post them.
It's such a cool idea because gaming and reading almost feel like two sides of the same coin. Like they're both
Yeah,
consumer-ish, but also interactive kind of mediums.
yeah.
So tying them together, like there is a lot of crossover.
Mhm.
Like I'm sure we're gonna dive into some more a little later, but there's a lot of crossover in the types of I don't even know what you call it interests
Media?
of both gamers, yeah, media that gamers and readers both like. I guess diving into that a little deeper, what is your history? You touched a little bit on it just now, but what is your history with reading and what's your history with games? And I guess how did they kind of intersect and clash at this time of your life?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So like I've been involved in gaming kind of really my whole life. My first console that I was really like my own console. Like we had consoles in my house. Like my dad had an Atari that I would mess around with as a little wee child. But my first console for me and my brother, I have a little brother who I've always played games with, was a GameCube. So I'm a GameCube kid. First game that I remember being obsessed with was like Super Mario Strikers and Super Mario Sunshine. That's like my
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
strikers. Oh yeah.
I love it so much. So those are kind of like the early days of my like and I've never really been a big like console war person. Like we had all sorts of consoles in my house growing up, but I would say like my most formative ones were probably GameCube, the probably like Xbox 360 and and I also had the PlayStation 2 as well. So I and then I was kind of started getting into weird games even when I was like younger. Like, do either of you have you ever played Viva Pinata before?
Oh yeah. On the
I've
360,
crossed by it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
it's a classic.
It's a classic. I really and also I was a big, like, Sonic Adventure sicko as well. That was
Mm-hmm.
also kinda like my early day jam. So I gamed and played games, like, growing up, but I kind of when I became an adult, and obviously when you become an adult, you get busy. I have a full-time job as well. This is not my full-time
Yeah.
job yet. Fingers crossed, maybe one day. I don't know. Not anytime soon, at least.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. Are you gonna hire me? Somebody hire me. I'm
Gosh.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Wait until I get a salary before we start hiring other people. How about that?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I put down any like hobby that didn't like contribute to my survival because I mean I was trying to like I was going to school, I was going to work, I was doing all the things just trying to make it, and I kind of like fell off of anything that wasn't like essential. And then I met Jerica. Jerica and I met through our workplace, and she kind of helped me reignite like what gaming with your friends can like do for you positively mentally. Like I'm a really big mental health advocate, something I care about a lot. And during COVID, like everyone experienced what it's like to feel like isolated. And so that's what I kind of was like, well, let me kind of dig back into. I started going to therapy around that time. Let me dig back into like fueling my own tank like positively. Like what do I love? Like let me dig past all the like, you know, corporate America wasteland to get back
Mm,
to me. And so that started a little bit before 2020. So and then I started reading a lot again around the same time actually. So really it was a resurgence of both of my like kind of core hobbies at the same time. And I think that now kind of analyzing it with you guys is probably why they intersect so much is because I kind of brought them back into my life around the same time. Um and then I've always read books too. I used to like hide my book under my pillow when I
Mhm.
was going to sleep and like read when I was supposed to be asleep. But yeah.
Classic.
that that's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's it flows into the conversation of like how do you have time for both? For you, these two kind of things, like they came up at the same time, like you said. So
Yeah.
they kind of never really had to fight each other almost. It
Yeah.
was kind of like
Well,
you're in tandem. Why don't we dive into that?
yeah, no, I'm sure you get it too, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's tough because like I do sometimes I feel like I have a good routine and I would be remiss to not mention I think like if you're someone who is listening and everybody's different and with how they allocate their time. I don't have any children, so there's that like I don't have that competing priority, but I think it really helps to have if you have a partner to make sure that your partner is supportive of
Mhm.
your hobbies and your life and your wants and your needs. I mean, having someone who like encourages me to like pour into my hobbies is really helpful. We have our kind of like people call it like parallel play or whatever where like he'll do
Mm,
his thing and I'll do my thing like in the same room. Like he games as well, but we have totally different gaming taste. So I think like being intentional about spending time on yourself, whatever that looks like, and whether it be picking up a book, whether it be logging in and playing your favorite game, whatever that looks like for you, just making sure that you are blocking that time out. Obviously, your responsibilities are important. Like, you got to make sure that you have food on the table and can pay your rent or
Go to
mortgage.
work, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, realistically, I try to just listen to what my brain needs for the day. So sometimes that might look like I need a more relaxed morning of just reading and drinking coffee. Sometimes it means I want to get sweaty and play some Apex before I do what I need to do for the day. I don't sleep a lot, so there is that.
It's
That
the
helps,
triangle.
I guess.
It's the triangle, right? Where one corner is what is it? Work, one is sleep, and one is fun or something like that.
Yeah, friends or
One of them
something
always,
as well.
friends,
Money.
money. One of them always
Yeah.
suffers.
Yeah, it helps to have like friends who are like in the community also and understand. So like I feel like I can spend time with my friends and game. And then also like I have a lot of friends that enjoy books as well. I have a book club that I'm a part of at my work. So a lot of it is like finding circles that are like Venn diagram with your hobbies. And not just doing things because you feel like you have to. That can be really tough as content creators. I'm sure you guys experience this as well. Like feeling like
Yeah.
you have to play like the hot new game when maybe you just want to revisit a backlog game.
That was
I'm
one
sure
of
you
Mhm,
guys.
mhm.
that was one of Samson's resolutions for this year was to
Aw.
play more of what he wants to and less of the hype train kind of thing. So
It can be hard.
yeah,
It can be hard with books too, actually, like new releases.
Really?
yeah.
I try to wrap my brain around this games and books. Like, wow, this is existential, so I apologize, but like, I'm
It's
not
okay.
going to be
Let's
able to read
go
do
it.
it.
there. Let's go there.
I'm not going to be able to read every book before I die. What? That's crazy.
You can try.
I mean, true.
Quit
Yeah.
your
I can't-
job.
Literally. So yeah, I guess like I don't know if that answers your question fully, but like I don't have as exact like routine. I just try to like find time in the morning before I have to go to work. And then before I go to bed, I try to do, and normally I alternate. So like whatever I do in the morning, I'll probably do the opposite at night,
That's a
if
neat
that makes
idea.
sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. That's a
Gaming
pretty cool.
typically I do at night just because it like feels like more of a nighttime activity to me. And then
Lights off.
reading,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. But like I said earlier, sometimes I do both at the same time, which I know is
Mhm.
insane.
That blows my mind. I can barely listen to music while I play like a shooter. I need to focus, you know.
Well, Kayla, you mentioned a Venn diagram, and you were saying like a Venn diagram of friend circles and different circles of your life, but I'm also hearing like a Venn diagram in like you're listening to an audiobook while you're playing like a more idle, chill game.
Yeah.
Or well, that's only one example I can think of, but there's a Venn diagram too.
Yeah.
There too. So that sounds like a cool strategy. And I also really liked what you just said about doing the opposites. Like if you read in the morning, well, there's your reading for the day. Now you
Yeah.
can play games at night.
That's
Or
cool.
it's like going to the gym. Like if you gym in the morning, you don't have to gym after work.
Exactly, 100%. I do every once in a while. I go to the gym too, and I do audiobook while I'm at the gym. I basically
Another
don't.
circle.
I don't really have like I don't watch a ton of TV. I don't watch
Okay.
a ton of movies. So like that time where someone else would be doing that, I'm probably just reading during that time.
Right.
And then yeah, and basically what I do. I listen to audiobooks on my commute to work, which is not very long.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I fit in time. And then I just have to not force myself to do stuff if I don't want to. I have ADHD as well, and I
You
can
don't say.
sometimes.
I might have picked up on that earlier.
So that stimulation actually kind of like helps me.
Yeah, it helps you
Mhm.
focus.
So yeah, if brain quiet, brain
I was gonna say
scary.
it quiets your brain. My
Yeah.
wife is exactly the same, and I don't know how she does it. I don't know how you do it. It's too many things competing in my mind, but she's exactly the same. There's got to be something there that keeps things on
Yeah.
track.
The more screens, the better.
Yeah,
You
pretty
know?
much.
Yeah.
We got phone, laptop, computer,
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah. A live stream over there. Yeah. I love that.
Gotta support my friends over here. Gotta read my audiobook over here. Yeah. I don't know if that's like practical advice, but that's what works for me.
I mean, that's kind of what ADHD is. It's like
Yeah.
you need a stimulant to keep the brain busy so that it's not looking for more stimulant. If we're getting psychological here,
Vyvanse
but yeah,
helps
that's
too.
kind of the idea.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I have no issue talking about this, but I'm not medicated. I probably should
Mm.
be, and there's nothing wrong with being medicated. But I have found practical ways that it works for me by like doing stuff like that and just engaging my hobbies. But I have like a nighttime routine where I just like disengage, try to not like play. I try to give myself my brain like breathing room between like whatever I've done and when I have to go to
Transitions.
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise it'll just be like this all the time. And it kind
Constant
of already
cycle.
is, but you know.
No, that's really cool. That's really fascinating because I kind of resonate with a lot of that too. Like Jordan, you were saying you can't play music and shoot at the same time.
Mhm.
I'm like, I need that or else I'm gonna
Ugh,
go insane.
no.
Like I
Yes.
need to put on, even if it's like calm folk music, like I need something in the background when I'm
Yes.
Wild.
when I'm shooting.
I want to hear the footsteps over my shoulder and know someone's to
Yeah,
the left and that kind of stuff. I
it's true.
just
You're
can't.
locked in.
Yeah, exactly.
So one thing I'm curious about, Kayla, is like you said, giving your what Jordan called transition time or time for your brain to calm down. I'm not a reader, I should be, but I hear a lot of people like they like to read before they go to bed. Is that something that you still do, or do you tend to not do that, or do something else? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, sometimes I do. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, though, for some reason, at least right now, and I think it's changed in different times in my life, but like right now, I like to read in the morning to get my day started.
Mhm.
I do tend to read like heavier books at times. So like I love a book that like part of I would be remiss if I didn't mention this as well. I really part of what I love about reading and gaming, because I feel like you can get this from gaming too, is like putting myself in someone's shoes that I couldn't otherwise be in. So like reading from different voices that are not of like my own like religious beliefs or
Hmm.
cultural like standing, ethnic background. Like I try to put myself in those other people's lives. And I think that
Mhm.
gaming and books are how you can do that really well, like feel really immersed in that and learn. So sometimes that can mean, especially if it's like in a historical context, which I do like to read some nonfiction as well, it can be kind of like heavy also.
Mhm.
Like this book that I mentioned earlier has like some pretty like it has some good disability representation in this book as well with the main character. And so sometimes you don't want to read that before bed, you know? So I think I try to like I play this game on Apple Arcade before I go to bed, Mini Motorways. Either one of you play Mini
I think
Motorways?
so. You build the highways to build a
Yeah.
city, kind of. Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
Okay.
heard
you
of
like
it.
drag the things. You drag like the roads from one to another. So sometimes I'll play like a mobile chill kind of game before I go to sleep, or honestly, I'll just doom scroll a lot of the time. But
TikTok.
It's
yeah,
hard not
Schedule
to.
TikTok doom scroll time. Yeah.
brain rot. Yeah,
Cool. That's cool.
just to be
Okay.
honest.
So yeah, like that's one thing I feel like books tend to not fall in, is like sometimes books can be very stimulating as well.
Hmm.
Like being
Yeah.
challenged in your beliefs and stuff. Like, yeah, you don't want to necessarily read that right before bed. Games can be that filler as well. Mini motorways.
Yeah, and I read. So I read. I have a vast like variety that I like to read. I don't always read like doom and gloom type of like deep, intense stories. I love
Mhm.
a good um, like romance novel or like a fun fantasy. Like I have a spectrum of book interest. It's just sometimes I like to diversify it as much as I can.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like you read a lot of books. My last question for you before we dive into our game is I
Ooh.
want you to give us two recommendations. One book that is very game like, and one game that feels very book like. You can define those however you want, but give us two recommendations.
That's okay. I started to kind of prep for this, and I think I used one of mine already, but I'm not going to use that as a cop out and say this book. Though I do think if you enjoy games and you enjoy indie games, specifically indie game development and the kind of like exploration of having chronic illness and how that plays into like your relationships, I think that this book, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, is what it's called. And the cover is also beautiful, by the way. I
It
love this
is.
cover so much. This also explores a lot of like the complexity of like platonic relationships between men and women. I think that touches on this a
Love
lot
that.
in this as well. So
What's
that
that? Who's that book by?
Gabrielle Zevin.
Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle
Yes.
Zevin.
Yes, that would be one. But I'll do one other quick plug for it's called Iron Widow by
Ooh.
Zaran J. Howe. And this book I have compared to Titanfall before, actually. Yeah. So it's a duology, and this is one of those I would say leans on the more intense side. It follows a main character, Zetian is her name, and she essentially lives in this it's based on Chinese culture, and it essentially they have these mechs that are powered by chi, but in order to have the chi to power the mech, they have to like sacrifice a woman. And
Oh.
it's like I know it's like really like it's a lot. It's a lot. So trigger warning for lots of things with this, but it honestly really kind of embodies like I don't know if you guys have ever heard like feminine rage. Like this is like that essentially.
Mhm.
It's super good. And so this feels very video game when you're reading this book. And the sequel, it's called Heavenly Tyrant. I love that you pulled up Goodreads, by the way. Really just speaking to me.
Hey.
Heavenly Tyrant I read last year, and it's not quite as good as the first one in my opinion, but I still really like it. So yeah, and I love watching like the author has a lot of like explanations on her inspiration behind the books. I feel like that little blurb is like a really like
Pacific
good
Rim meets the Handmaid's Tale in this blend of Chinese history and mecha science fiction.
Yeah.
Like, what a sentence.
Yeah. And it's interesting because these like say that they're targeted towards young adult. I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, I feel like it's definitely, I think it could go either way. And I think it depends on like what like young adult you're kind of targeting here. But there's some really like kind of like deep, in-depth things. So I would say if you're going to do that, both of those examples would be good, like books that feel like video games. And then if we're talking games that feel like books, I think the very clear example that I can't not talk about is Tiny Bookshop,
Okay.
which came out last year. Have either
Should've
of you
known.
played this game or
We
seen
talked
this
about
game?
it on an episode, actually.
Yeah, we talked about it on an episode. I didn't get too far into it. It was one of the first games I picked up on the Switch too. I didn't get too far into it, but every time I played it, it really was like, oh, this feels so relaxing. This feels like I liked the management sim. It was nice enough to play like it felt like reading a book. Like I had my
Yeah,
feet kicked up on the couch kind of thing.
literally. It's very
Uh,
cozy. All the books in there are real books. So it's kind of fun I did a stream a long time, like earlier last year, where I would like, I had a big glass of wine. And every time I saw a book that I would take a sip of wine every time I saw a book that I'd read before.
that you turned it into
Amazing.
a drinking game.
I did. So yeah, that's a very obvious answer. And then another one I'll throw in there is Sea of Stars. I feel like
Really?
has a lot of. Have either of you played Sea of Stars?
I've played it. I
have
didn't
not.
get far.
Oh my gosh. To me, it feels like a like super fun like fantasy novel that you're following these like this like group of friends who are they have the power of the sun and the power of the moon, and they're trying to like essentially rescue like stop the world from ending. Essentially, it's been a minute since I've played it. This is the first ever like turn-based RPG that I really enjoyed. And this in particular, this game I've compared to, oh gosh, how do you pronounce it? It's a book called The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. And that's kind of a mouthful. But it reminds me of that because it follows like a badass pirate lady, and she's super cool. And the setting is very similar to that game. And I think that game just feels like reading a good book too. And there's a really cool like book scene in that game where they're like in this massive library, and I just felt like I could stay there forever. So yeah.
That's cool. Wow, I love how you just tied it all together. That was amazing. So Tiny Bookshop and Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars, I've heard really good things about.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It really does feel like a game I could, sink into and live in the world just like I would a book. And of course, The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. Wow,
Pirates.
very cool. So it's a pirate game. Sea of
It
Stars,
is.
kind of.
Well, it's not necessarily a pirate game, but there's a lot of sailing, and there is a pirate character. But
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
like it's
cool,
a pirate game to me.
I mean, one could say it was a pirate game. I'm not going to put it in a box, but yeah.
what is art? Cool. I love
Exactly.
that. Thank you for your suggestions,
Of
Kayla.
course.
And if you are listening or watching and want more suggestions, make sure you go to @palettes and pages on Instagram or on anything. Like you put a lot of effort into these posts and recommendations. So I want to make sure the people know, the good people out there know.
Thank you.
Now,
That's very nice.
we brought up a lot. We referenced a lot of games and books. Why don't we make one? Jordan, take it away.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, your description there was mostly accurate. I don't want to say we're making a book though,
Okay.
that could take a while.
That's true.
You did mention a lot of games there, and I don't know, pleased to learn that your gaming tastes actually vary quite a bit. I had no idea you were into such a broad sort of range of games.
Yeah.
But I did theme this game around cozy games because I know
I love a cozy game.
I was going to say, I've heard you love a cozy game.
I do.
But it's not just that. So what we're going to do is we're going to build our own cozy game. Each of us, of course. I'm going to give you specific categories, and then you get to, choose your flavor for that category. But the catch is it has to be based off of an IP or franchise that started as a literary work.
Oh.
So I'm using that term pretty generally. Literary work. It could be a play. It could be a poem. It could be a novel, if you like. Novel, probably the easiest one because that's generally speaking a fully fleshed out world. But of course, plays, similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's where we'll start. You'll pick your literary work, and then I'll give you these categories, and we'll build out your game from there. So I don't know who wants to go first. Samson, Kayla, you guys want to fight it out? You want to share your literary work that is going to serve as your inspiration for this cozy game?
I'm going to let Kayla go first because
Okay.
I feel like just you have a bigger book library in your head. I am Googling some books right now that I have read that I have vague memories of.
Fair enough.
If that's
Fair
okay.
enough.
If not,
So
I
Kayla,
can throw something together.
Where do you want
Okay.
to start? What are you thinking?
So, no.
If you
I
want,
think,
I can talk a little bit and you can think some more.
yeah, I
Okay.
have something that I think I have, but I need to verify something really quick. So
Okay.
you entertain the people.
Well, you think about that. I'll expand a little bit more on what we're going to do. So you're going to pick your literary franchise piece, whatever you want to call it. And then we've got 4 categories here. So your 4 categories will be the perspective that you play from, the art style. So I'll get you to, name a game that is kind of along the lines of what you envision. The hook. So that's going to be, something like, what do you do in the game for the most part?
Mm-hmm.
And then a unique feature. So that's going to be kind of where it all ties together, the really kind of standout, I guess, mechanic in this game. The hook and the unique feature can, of course, be closely tied together. Mine will be, but that's kind of where we're going. So we've got 3 distinct categories here. One of them is kind of a 3/4. So did that give you enough time? Samson's got his hand up.
I got some. Kayla, do you want to go? Okay.
Okay, Samson, you want to go first?
Sure. Am I
Sure.
doing the whole pitch right here? Doing the whole...
Start with your franchise. I'm going to write these down as we go, and then at the end, I'll give us a recap of what your game looks like.
Okay. So my game or franchise literary piece that I'm building it off of is a book that I actually read when I was like 12 or 13 years old. So I was pretty young. Haven't read the book since. I don't know if it's any good, but it stuck with me. This whatever story stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah.
It is a book called The Transl Saga by Gary Paulson.
Okay.
In
Tell
the
us about
Transl Saga, a young person named Mark, I think he's 13 in the book, is going on a hike in the desert by himself. Pretty risky thing for a 13-year-old to do. But then he gets sucked up by a beam of light and transported to almost looks like another planet. I think in the book it described the grass as purple instead of green. The trees were like blue. The water was different colors. So like very close to Earth, but everything's a little bit off. And then you follow his life in this new place. He meets some people. The people are a little bit different. I think they have like webbed feet. I think they're like taller, like almost like an Avatar situation.
Right.
Should I spoil the book? Yeah, this book came out like 30, 40 years ago.
Why not?
You find out, well, and then he also like becomes part of this tribe. meets a girl, they get a
Oh,
little
of course.
older, they become maybe start a little family. And then partway through the book, I want to say halfway through the book, he's doing his foraging one day and he picks up a piece of glass, and the bottom of the glass looks like a bottle. And the bottom of the bottle says Coca-Cola Company, circa 1980. So the twist is that he's still on Earth. He's just way far out in the future. And now he needs
Okay.
Whoa.
to find out a way to get back to his
Right.
timeline or prevent whatever post-apocalyptic thing happened in this world.
Hey, that's amazing.
So yeah, this story like stuck with me for this whole time. I'm like, oh, what a twist. This seems like a very cool book.
What a twist.
Cool.
It's
I'm
kind
gonna add
of
that to my
Planet of the
TBR.
Apes.
I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of Planet of the Apes. But
Okay.
yeah, I just remember being so like enamored by this book as a kid.
Awesome.
Now, do you want me to
Awesome.
pitch the game part of it, Jordan?
Let's jump over to Kayla and let's hear what Kayla has chosen.
Okay, I'm ready. Do you guys ever like try to talk about your favorite thing and all of a sudden you forget like what it's about?
Everything about it.
completely?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're like, why
Yeah.
was this
So-
great again?
That's what I just did. One of my favorite series of all time is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. This is the last book that I'm
Hey.
holding right now.
Finished
Whoa.
it maybe 3 weeks ago.
My gosh. Have you read any of the other series?
I've read about
Within the
all of
world.
Akatar as well.
Oh my God. We're going to have to take this. We're going to take it offline. We're going to take it
Yeah.
offline.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to talk about this
Yeah.
series as a whole without spoiling it. But what I'll say is the first book in the series you start out as this assassin who she is like, essentially she's in prison when you start. And she's released to compete in this competition. The king is like a bad man. Like you learn pretty quickly, like the king is not good. And you are competing as like the king's champion in this whole tournament thing.
Contest. Yeah.
And that's only like the very beginning. Like that's barely like dipping your toes into what it is. Magic is gone. Like this is a land that used to have magic, but magic is no more. There's romance throughout the series. There's a lot of things happen. And
Mhm.
the magic that does, I mean, let's just say like there is magic eventually. And there's a really cool element. There's fae, like, which is a type of like fairy. So I think this would make a fantastic game series. There's 7 books. And I think that the main character would be super badass to play as. And Jordan, I would think you would agree.
Yeah.
That's what I would pick.
I mean, I'll be honest, you just kind of forced me to go with my second choice because it's so on the top of my mind because I
We
just
can build it
finished
together.
it. But that's true. We definitely could.
Yeah.
But it really is like a world sort of ripe for a video game of any sort. Like you could play as the main character at the start, Selena Sardathian, like she's an assassin, so she's got, everything you'd expect an assassin to be. She can kill people, she can fight people, she can put up her, hold up her own kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then she develops from there. But it's also like the world, especially in those first few books, obviously the
There's
world
dragons.
gets bigger and bigger. Yeah. But
Yeah.
when things start out, it's kind of contained in this one city. And
Mhm.
I guess I don't need to explain the whole book, but it's just a great fantasy world where there's all these different characters and names that you hear, people that you meet early on, and then plenty of them, kind of come back in some way or
Mhm.
another. Or, there are seeds planted for a character early on, and then later on, there's a payoff and things like that. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Ah, I'm so
that's a
glad you
great
love
pick.
this.
That's a great
series.
pick. That's a great pick. Cool. Okay. Well, like I said, I was actually going to go
That's
with
crazy.
Throne of Glass as my first one. Now,
Wow.
the flip side of that is I read Akatar first.
Mhm.
And
So did I.
Akatar is A Court of Thorns and Roses is
Yeah.
the name of the first book, but just what everyone
It's right
calls the
there.
entire series. Oh, there it is. Yeah. And I debated going with that one over Throne of Glass simply because it almost feels like, although it's same universe, it is pretty like, they're kind of like parallel. There is like
Mhm.
maybe a tiny bit of crossover, but they're very like I say, like there's some things from each, but it's not like, a character meets another character or something like that.
Right.
So I thought about going with Akatar because I do find that the sort of rules around the world are a little more consistent than Throne of
Mhm.
Glass.
Yeah.
but I like Throne of Glass more. So I was going to go with Throne of Glass. Anyways, I'm also not going with ACOTAR. So what I am going to go with is a sort of similar genre book or
Okay.
series, and it is the Fourth Wing series. A
That would
series,
make a great game series.
that I actually personally enjoyed more than ACOTAR. If I had to put them
That's
in an
something.
order, that it is something. If I had to put them in an order, I would probably go Throne of Glass, Fourth Wing, ACOTAR, just in terms of the whole story. Now, we don't have the whole story of Fourth Wing, so, there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I like Fourth Wing is I think it has enough definition around sort of, again, it's a fantasy novel. There are, dragons and griffin type things and things like
An
that.
academy.
Yeah, the idea at the start is the main character goes to a school to become a dragon rider, basically. And dragon riders are these warriors that, go fight and stuff. I won't go too far into it just because there are layers, but it's very, again, I like that kind of contained idea of here's where you are. You're in this location, doesn't necessarily have to be an open world, but it's defined. You're in this area and it's not too big at this point. So I would almost kind of focus on sort of the setting of the fourth book, which does take place at this academy. And you're a student, you go to school. Now they are like 20 something year olds,
Yeah.
but you're there and you learn sort of the history through the book and everything. So yeah, my choice for our literary work is going to actually be the Fourth Wing series, but focusing on the start for sure. So there you go.
And you play as a student going through school.
You play as a student going to school. That's right.
Probably a conspiracy in the school somewhere. Love that.
Maybe. Perhaps. Yes. And the nice thing about Fourth Wing as well, in comparison to another magical school that shall remain nameless, is that they are adults.
Yeah.
They're banging. Okay.
They are.
Now let's.
I mean, they are in here. They are in here too. But,
absolutely. But I just mean, referencing a very specific magical school that we won't talk about. So
correct.
Moving on from
there. We
there.
gotta have some romance mechanics, of course. That's half the fun.
You bet we better.
Dating sim, yeah.
So the next thing, hopefully a bit of an easier one to decipher for you guys. I want to talk about the perspective that you're going to play in. So Samson, let's start with you since we started with you before. Let's take us back to the Transall saga and tell us about the perspective you're playing from. Is it a, first person, third person? We've got 2D, kind of something like that. What are you looking at here?
In my mind, this is going to be a, like I said, like part of the book is the exploration and discovery and the survival of it. So, and yeah, you could go a lot of places with that, but I think maybe because it's top of mind, maybe it's because when Jordan said cozy game, I'm like, oh, Stardew Valley. I think this will be like a top down, almost farming sim.
Ooh.
Okay.
With exploration, there's exploration in Stardew. Sea of Stars, like after looking at that, like that's a beautiful art style. Actually, I would love to see. I would love to yoink that if I could. Okay. So kind of top down exploration, and yeah, Are we diving into genre yet, or can I say like a farming sim / city builder kind of?
That jumps ahead a little bit, but if you want to go into it,
I will go there yet.
Yeah. Okay, you won't go there yet. Okay. So
we're
going
top down. Yeah.
Okay. That's great. We'll leave it there then. So Kayla, back over to you. Throne of Glass, what kind of perspective are we looking at here?
I think for my perspective, I want to do third person because I feel like I envision this as something where you're not necessarily playing as Selena, the main character, the whole time. Like I see you like alternating characters.
Right on.
I think that would be fun, getting different perspectives.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And so I want you to be able to see the character.
Yeah.
So not quite like over the shoulder third person, but like just like a standard third person. But I want it to be like 3D, fully animated, like motion captured, like whole shebang.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. And honestly, I mean, I was gonna go for the same, but I'm gonna change it up a little bit, and I'm gonna say that this is actually a first person cozy game. I feel like something we don't see too often. Something like, I mean, Blueprints is a little more puzzly, but I'm thinking something like that because this will have a little more action. But yeah, let's go first person for my Fourth Wing one. So there we go.
I love it all a little different.
Samson, I jumped over to you there, and then I was about to pivot to Kayla, but you came back just in time. So I want you to now tell us about the art style itself. You touched on this a little bit, but of course, just to shout out a few, we've got pixel art, something like a Stardew. There's sort of this. Actually, I'm not even going to say that art style because that's going to be mine. I think one that we see in cozy games often is sort of a chibi, almost like, I don't know if you could categorize an art style as cute, but like Animal Crossing, Hello Kitty Island, things like that. Something else. Does anything else jump out at you for the art style?
I don't know how this is going to work, but yeah, in my mind, when I pictured this book, it's like a gritty, realistic, still beautiful.
Okay.
I don't know, somewhere in between there.
Is there a game you could compare it to? An existing one?
So you have Third
Just
Sea of
making
Stars. Well, I am trying to think of a game that is like top down, but also got realistic
that's tough.
graphics. That's
I was almost going to say, when you said like gritty, honestly, okay, go ahead.
Like almost Baldur's Gate, Divinity.
Okay.
Like, yeah, top down, but the characters are very detailed, and they can zoom in and see their faces. So I'm kind of cheating my perspective a little bit. But yeah, maybe something like that.
Right on. Okay, Kayla, how about you?
I know I kind of said mine already, but I'm gonna backpedal like just a little bit.
We're fleshing it out.
I still do want it to be like realistic because I feel like for the visuals that you would get from Throne of Glass game, even just saying that makes me like, oh,
I know. It's good.
I'm thinking more like think Life is Strange, where it's like realistic, but there's this like overlay glamour of like fantasy. Like there's some like on screen like firework moments where like the whatever power they're using is like prevalent on screen. You can tell it's kind of like animated over the realistic.
Right.
That's kind of like vibe I'm going for.
I dig that. Tell me if this is off base or if this is in line with what you're saying. Are you also thinking sort of like that description you just gave speaks to me in a way of like neon highlights? And I'm thinking
kind of like that. Yeah.
What's that game that just came out recently, last year? Similar to Life is Strange, but wasn't as great. Lost Records, Bloom and Rage.
Yes.
That's kind of what I'm envisioning. Okay.
Because it's like realistic, but you can tell it has almost this like filter over it.
Yeah.
Totally. Like it's got that pop kind of.
Awesome.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, that brings us to my art style, which I'm going to call simple geometric, which might strike you as strange, but what I want you to envision is a game from last year that I loved called Sword of the Sea. I want you to picture, characters being similar to the main character you play as in that game. And I call it simple geometric because although it's still detailed and still feels like a sort of real lived in world, when you look at it, it's very jagged edges and, sharp kind of cuts and things like that. But at the same time, it's got this, beautiful kind of presentation behind it. So
I love that.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, that is cool. Love that.
Thank you.
Neat.
Well, Samson, take us once again back to the Transall saga. Now, this time we're going to talk the hook, but I do have a separate one for the unique feature. But to me, they do kind of tie into each other. So what do you do in the game? Is it a life sim? Is it a cooking sim? Are you running a shop, building a town? And then if there's something you can add on top of that, that is kind of a standout, unique thing, hit us with it.
Okay, I got it. It's coming to me. So like I said, the game is about exploration and city building. You are this random person that teleported to the future and you find this tribe and I don't know, maybe you just come with a lot of knowledge or something, but you start helping them build and expand and grow into a city so that they're self-sufficient. Now, when the twist happens, the goal of the game changes to get back to where you came from and prevent this apocalypse. So now on top of your city building, instead of just building to survive, you are trying to build a time machine. And, and you're researching, you're looking for resources, and your city's goal is now to build a time machine to be able to send you back.
Okay. Would you say it's leaning into sort of a resource gathering mechanic, kind of like a survival game, sort of a survival crafting type thing?
Yeah, something like that.
Not necessarily survival, but just that kind of a mechanic.
Yeah. Go out, hunt, get resources, bring them back, build them like a little bit like a Cult of the Lamb, I guess.
Okay, great pull. I love that.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, so cute.
That was a hilarious game. Okay.
That's so funny.
All right, Kayla. Same pitch for you. What is the hook? What is the unique feature? What are we doing in your game?
Yeah. So in my game, and this is kind of selfish of me, and I admit, but I think that the other fans of this, and hopefully you'll agree, I kind of just want the main structure to be a linear story
Okay.
format of
Yeah.
the story that you have. But I do want some exploration. I actually
Right.
kind of envision almost like this once you complete the story, and I'm kind of
Mhm.
building this as I go, so
Mhm,
forgive
mhm.
me.
No, that's
We
okay.
kind of alluded to the fact that there's 3 kind of series that Sarah J. Maas, the author of this series, has. I envision a world where you can almost like travel to the other worlds within
Okay.
the series, and
Right.
and this is very ambitious.
No
So
doubt.
again, Throne of Glass, I want it to be more like linear RPG.
Okay.
There's kind of like there can be like a main town hub where you can do a
Mhm,
little bit
mhm.
more kind of like explore semi-open world is what I'm thinking. But you're following like think like an Assassin's Creed type, like where
Okay.
it's like
Yeah.
you're progressing, there's side quests, but you ultimately are traveling along your journey. But if when you complete your journey, I see a world in which you could almost like world hop to some of the
Okay.
other I don't want to spoil anything, but like some of the other worlds. And I even more specific than that, I think it would be really cool if those different worlds are in a different art style. Like I think that would be like
Okay.
crazy. You know how like there's some games will pull that twist on you where it's like all of a sudden there's a different art style that pops in. Like let's say like think you're in the Throne of Glass game, and then you can like jump into the Akatar world, but you're more like pixel art or something.
That'd
Kind
be
of have either of
wild.
you played Indica before?
No, not
I've
yet.
seen it. I'm familiar
Okay.
with it, but I haven't played.
If you know what I'm talking about, think kinda like that, where there's
Mm,
just, like, random, like,
okay.
intervals, but yeah, that's my, like, hook, I
Okay.
guess.
I love it.
Cool.
All
Jumping into the
right.
world.
Well, that brings us to my fourth wing game, where the hook slash sort of unique feature of this game, of course, I mean, we started this out as building your own cozy game. It doesn't really have to be a cozy game. It just be a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, obviously, I mean, you're going to school. Like, what are you doing? You're going to the school, right? There are 2 things that I want to see in this game that kind of serve as the main purpose tied in with the hook. The main purpose is the dragons, right? This series is all
Yeah.
about riding dragons. So how do we tie that into a game mechanic? Now, this doesn't actually happen in the book. This is something that we're gonna bend the rules a bit here. But you're breeding the dragons.
Yeah.
Okay? You're mixing dragon bloodlines. You're making new dragons. We're expanding the dragon verse in this game, in this
Hell yeah.
series. In the actual series, there are some actual, like, very defined dragons and different breeds and things like that. But we're making our own. We're getting crazy with it. So that's one thing. But that's maybe the thing that you're doing sort of throughout the game. Other than that, you're going to school. It's a school life sim, we'll call it. But one thing I also want to do is before you get into the school, and I don't know, again, I'm fleshing this out as we go as well. Maybe at the start, we'll call it the start of the school year. You're building your school in a 2-point museum, 2-point, what was it? What was the one? 2-point college, or was it 2-point university?
2-point campus.
Like that
Campus,
isometric.
that's what it was.
Or,
Yes, exactly. So that's going to be how
Yeah.
you start. You build the school. There's a bunch in the franchise. And that's really what I want to do. I want to be able to set this college up how I want it. Maybe even it gets into some of the character stuff where like you hire the teachers that you want.
Yeah.
Depending on who you hire, things in the overall story play out differently. That could be cool. And
Cool.
obviously I'm dancing around some spoilers here, but
Yeah.
yeah, that could be cool. So there you go.
Nice.
That's it.
Love it.
Do you guys have anything you want to add to your game? I'll give you one last sort of closing thought on it if you want to, and then I can recap what each of our games looks like. We'll see what kind of mess we've all made.
No, I think I'm pretty
Yeah.
happy with mine.
Okay. That's
I
fine.
came up with something cool. If anybody wants the rights to it, don't ask.
That's
me.
right.
I don't know. Fortunately,
pretty
I don't know
penny.
the rights.
If
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah, yeah.
wants the rights, pay the author, not Samson.
Yeah.
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Anyways,
I know what he's up
I
to.
didn't realize the Transall Saga, Gary Paulson also wrote Hatchet, which I did read.
whoa,
of
in
course.
school. Yes.
we all read
Yeah,
Hatchet.
We
yeah.
all read it. Yeah, yeah.
I did
but
not know
didn't
that
put it
either.
I didn't put it together. I was like, wait,
That's funny.
I think like
So
the
true.
only other thing I think would be cool to add to mine, and again, this budget is crazy right now. We're just going all like, it would be cool if
Boy
I could
check.
add almost like a MO type element where like
Wow.
in your like city hub, like you can visit each other's, like you can come to this like almost like a
Other people are
Destiny like
living there kind of
hub
thing.
type
Yeah.
area
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
and that wouldn't really work as if you're the main character, but I almost see like a character creator in there
hmm
as well in
hmm
the same like kind of universe. Like you're just existing in this, like you mentioned, this Throne of Glass is a very like fleshed out like world. That starts more contained, and as you progress through the books, gets a little bit more like vast.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you could do a lot with that. And then I think
It's
that's all I'm going to add because I'm
very cool.
very ambitious here.
Very cool.
Cool.
No, I dig it. I dig it. Well, that is all three of our games. Just to do a quick recap, Kayla is living in the Throne of Glass world with a third person 3D fully animated game where it's realistic, very Life is Strange esque. And of course, it's got a linear story that you can play through, exploration. But of course, we are also jumping between the sort of worlds of Akatar or Sarah J. Maas, even if you want to expand it out to that. And then, as Kayla just mentioned, there's an MMO element. I like what you said with Destiny there, where it's kind of these, little pocket zones where you go in
Hubs,
and
yeah.
there's a hub area where everyone is. So that's Kayla's. Then we go to Samson's, which of course takes place in the Transall saga in a top-down perspective, which is interesting, but ties into the gritty, realistic sort of, I believe you said Baldur's Gate / Divinity style
Yeah.
when it
It's
comes
kind
to
of
the art
top
style.
down, and there's
Yeah,
times they zoom in.
kind of a fixed angle. And then, of course, we've got exploration and city building. As you progress through the story, the goal eventually becomes, building out a time machine, resource gathering. Cult of the Lamb, I thought was actually that's a really good sort of comparison point for that one. And that brings us to my fourth wing game, which apparently is going to be first person. I hadn't decided that until we started talking here. So that'll be interesting. It's obviously going to jump around a bit, but it's in the simple geometric art style of a sort of the sea game. And of course, it features not only living in the college as you go to classes and things like that. You are also breeding dragons. And of course, let's go with every school year. There's some sort of school year system here. Starts with a 2-point style building out your campus. So there you have it. That is all three of our games that we're now building. Our literary games, we'll say. And like Samson said, if anyone wants to buy the rights to these, contact us.
Contact the author.
My people.
Contact the
Well, I mean-
author. The author might be better to contact, but you can contact us as well. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're the idea guys,
that's
Yes,
right.
exactly.
That's
guys.
right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Love that. Well, thanks for giving us that wonderful game, George.
That
Applause
was
in the
such a
chat as
fun
well.
surprise. I love that. I would play all of these like right now.
Me too.
We
Absolutely.
should. And they're all cozy enough that you could listen to your favorite
Thanks.
audiobook at the same time and do two
Bringing
things
it all
at once.
together.
The Venn diagram.
Yeah.
I
The
love
Venn
that.
diagram.
Speaking of bringing it all together, Kayla, thank you so much for joining us on Grow Up, Level Up this week. Just chatting about you and diving into, I guess, me and Jordan's book side, which we never get a chance to dive into. So thank you so much for joining us again. If people want to catch up with you, where can people find you?
Yeah, if you search up on any social media platform at Palettes and Pages, that's where you can find all the content we just talked about. And then both of my podcast endeavors are dropindropoutpod.com and jkgamespodcast.com.
Love that. And if you want to stay connected with Grow Up Level Up at Grow Up Level Up on all the socials, next week we are going to be talking about Overwatch 2 and all the cool new updates that they announced today. Kayla, we'll talk off the air, but we might need to bring you back, fellow Overwatch head. So stay subscribed on Grow Up Level Up for that and follow us on all our socials as well. If you want to hear me yap and follow along my gaming journey, you can follow me at SamsonXP on all the socials, at SMSN on Blue Sky. And Jordan, where can people find you?
You can find me all over the internet at Sir Dr. JM. That's Sir DRJM. And hopefully soon, keep an eye out on twitch.tv/SirDom.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, Kayla, once again, thank you. The honor was ours for coming onto our show. I hope folks go check out at Palettes and Pages everywhere you can find it, at JK Games as well, at Drop In Dropout as well. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, guys, for having me. So much fun.